you're passionate about transforming retail operations and improving performance, plus you're accountable for key change projects and programs in your company, then you're in the right place. Welcome to the Retail Transformation Show with me, Oliver Banks. Hello and welcome to the Retail Transformation Show. I'm Oliver Banks and I'm really pleased that you could join me today, because today marks the first time we're doing something a little bit different on the Retail Transformation Show. Now, if you've listened all the way from episode 1, you will have known that it's been one of my sort of visions for the podcast to start inviting other expert opinions onto the show to share a bit more about retail or a bit more about transformation. So today, I'm excited to introduce you to other voices on the Retail Transformation Show. Today, you're going to hear from 3 special guests. Each of these special guests is going to be sharing more about what is exciting them about the future of retail here in 2019. And I'd love to hear from you this week about what you're thinking, about what you're excited about as we head into 2019. So join me on LinkedIn. If we're not already LinkedIn, you can find me, just search for Oliver Banks and you'll find me pop up. Look for the green circle around my face. Or on Twitter, where you can find me at Ollie_Banks. That's OLLIE_Banks. I'd really love to hear what you think about our special guest's expert opinion. But also, I would really, really love to hear what you think about the future of retail in 2019, and more importantly, what you're really excited about, what's going to be different this year. So without further ado, let's get straight into this. What is exciting about the future of retail in 2019? First up, I'd like to introduce you to Simon Hadeau. Now, Simon is a productivity expert and is the managing director of Rethink Productivity. Improving productivity should be at the heart of every business. This is easier said than done. However, by spending time with your team, the clever people at Rethink Productivity can conduct efficiency studies to quantify how time and money is spent in your retail operation. And more importantly, the team will help you to assess how effectively that time and money is being spent and what you could do about it. So let's hear from Simon.
Hi, Simon Hadeau from Rethink Productivity. What is exciting me about the future of retail in 2019? Well, I think unfortunately there's probably going to be a few more casualties on the high street post-Christmas. But then for me, the exciting part is how retailers become more productive. So how do they reduce tasks in stores to free up time to serve customers? How do they use technology better? So there's lots of technology out there in stores, iPads. How do they enable the colleagues and empower the colleagues to use those to give a true multi-omnichannel experience? I think the high street will evolve. I think people need to break the mould. There'll be lots of innovation. I think there'll be lots of people flexing space, more collaborations, maybe more pop-ups coming through, different ways of thinking about how you engage customers, keep customers, develop new customers, develop a brand experience rather than a one-off transactional experience. And that will also play through to colleagues. So how you flex those staff, use the staff differently, maybe even recruit more for ability and service rather than process. So serving on a till or putting stock out. So I think in summary, for me, 2019 is going to be a really, really exciting year for retail. It can't carry on as it is. People will have to think differently, lay stores out differently, behave differently, and that can only be good for consumers. It can only be good for the retailers because we've got some great brands on our British high streets. It's heartbreaking to see them disappear, so we need to keep as many as we can. And with that comes more choice, more variety, and just a new way of thinking and breathing on the high street. And clearly, as Rethink, if we can help them be more productive to achieve that, then that also excites us and makes us look forward to a really exciting 2019.
Now you can get in touch with Simon by email at simon@rethinkproductivity.com. And you can also find him on Twitter at rethinkp or on LinkedIn. Just search for Simon Hedaux, Hedaux. I enjoyed hearing from Simon about the huge number of different ways that retailers should transform. They must transform in 2019. But there are so many different ways that retailers could transform. So you must work out what's right for your brand, what's right for your retail business and your retail operation and your customers ultimately, right? That's going to be a big theme as well. I think working out what's really important for customers. And our next special guest is Darren Kay. Now, Darren is a regional director at Debenhams. Now, Debenhams is going through a tough time at present. There's no hiding that. But what I'm excited about, particularly having Darren on the show, is that he has a very clear vision and a drive to transform the business. Now, he works a lot with the retail stores out in the field, and it's a refreshing belief that, as you're going to hear in just a second, the time of bricks and mortar stores is not over. Far from it. In fact, it's just changing and evolving. So let's hear from Darren Kay.
Hi, my name is Darren Kay and I'm one of the regional directors with Debenhams. Well, I think that 2018's retail rollercoaster is set to continue, and I don't think that we'll hear any less about profit warnings, rising establishment costs and Brexit anytime soon. However, retail is awesome and as addictive as ever. Despite the challenges, I do think that 2019 will be the year where we witness the brakes being applied to online and the customer falling back in love with physical stores. Because here's the thing, people will always need stuff, and as human beings we're pre-programmed to want visual stimulation and interaction. That said, as retailers we have to let go of the past. What made retailers successful as little as 3 years ago will not necessarily make them successful today. It's time for retailers to truly have a spring clean and stop paying lip service to transformation. In my world, a disciplined focus on 3 things should make a palpable difference to the success of retail in 2019. Firstly, product. Who is Laurel without Hardy? What is fish without chips? So how do you create a great brand, store, website without great product? The retailers that are successful in 2019 will have product that the customer wants. Yes, this is about catching the trend, but it's also about great availability on everyday product, enveloped in value. Cheap is not the absolute, but value is. Secondly, a ruthless, disciplined, effective focus on all cost management. Retail businesses are like athletes. To perform, they need excess nothing, but the strength of the bone and the performance of the muscle needs to be optimised. In retail, this means that every cost needs to be objectively scrutinised and reduced without risking a single sale. This is training the muscle. In tandem, the retail bone is establishment costs. The bone cannot simply be removed, and for most retailers, physical stores cannot simply be taken away. So successful retailers in 2019 need to work on strengthening the bone. And thirdly, people, customers and the retail teams. Customer service makes retail exciting, but a rollout programme for teams written to desk won't cut it. Real leadership expectations around basic behaviour across retail stores is what's required. Humans crave basic interaction, and this can be delivered in spades in physical stores. But the expectation is only part of the story. Finding a way to bring these expectations alive every day in everything that is done is what will create the culture and deliver something tangible for the customer. And the employed teams are any company's biggest asset. Retail needs to ensure it doesn't focus on their people least when they need them the most. And again, this isn't rocket science. Basics such as effective communication shouldn't be underestimated. Now, don't get me wrong, I've spoken a lot about and I work in stores, but I'm not averse to multi-channel, quite the reverse. But it has to be blended with physical stores. And back to Laurel without Hardy. For retail to be exciting in 2019, we need the industry to have a tangible focus on physical space and the thousands of passionate people that work in the sector. So what's exciting me? No single retailer is nailing all of the above, which means there is still an opportunity for several brands to make it happen and be super successful. Here's to a prosperous new year in retail.
Now, if you'd like to connect with Darren, you can get in touch with him on LinkedIn. Just search for Darren Kay, that's Kay. As always, you can get all of the links over at obandco.uk/12. This is episode 12, so we're going for obandco.uk/12, the number 12. But if you can't remember the episode numbers, and I get that, what you can do instead is just head over to obandco.uk. There you can find podcasts listed in the menu, and you'll be able to see the entire catalogue of all of the different show notes from each individual episode. So if you're not sure, just head over to obandco.uk and look for podcasts in the menu. Now, the big hard-hitting thing here for me from what Darren is saying is that what once worked for successful retail doesn't work today. So you must challenge the norms. You must challenge the status quo in your retail operation. Really understand where are the pinch points, where are the pain points, and what is it you are going to do about them. Now, what we also heard from Darren is that stores are not dead. Bricks and mortar stores are not dead, and far from it, and I really agree with this. I think that relationship opportunity with customers face to face is a huge opportunity, and bricks and mortar stores will always have that big benefit over online retailers. Now, my third and final special guest that I'm keen to introduce you to today is Maya Knight. Now, Maya is the co-author, alongside Natalie Berg, of the new brilliant book, Amazon, How the World's Most Relentless Retailer Will Continue to Revolutionize Commerce. Now, along with her co-author, Maya has truly explored the phenomenon that is Amazon. It's absolutely fascinating to learn more about Amazon's ethos, their values, their history. But what for me makes this book one that you have to pick up is that it's so much deeper than that. It's a look at how customer behavior is changing, how retail is changing as a result. But this isn't just opinion. They have done so much research into this. It is packed full of references and great insight. So if you think that perhaps Amazon could be affecting your retail business, and you've not picked up a copy of the new book, Amazon, I strongly recommend that you do so right now. And it's available from Amazon, but also all good book retailers. So go and find a suitable retailer and order that copy now. I promise you, you will not be disappointed. This is a really fantastic read. But for right now, let's hear from Maya.
Hi, my name's Maya Knight. I'm Head of Industry Insight for Eagle Eye, publisher of retailtechnology.co.uk, and co-author of the recently published book on Amazon. What's exciting me about the future of retail in 2019 is that I think it's a really great year to be a consumer. A lot of the trends that we've seen emerging over the last 10 to 15 years are really reaching an apex point, considering it's Amazon's 25th anniversary, for example. I really think from a consumer's perspective, the tough retail landscape that we're experiencing is forcing out mediocre retailers and really forcing others to raise their competitive game in terms of customer experience and total customer offer and proposition. The impact on that, for example, is that it's forcing retailers to really understand who their customers are at a much deeper level in order to be able to respond to us with much, much more relevant, highly curated offers. Take, for example, the impact of GDPR, where I think consumers are much, much more aware of the power of their own data and want to see that when it's being given to a retailer or brand, that they're actually going to get something back of qualitative or quantitative value in return. One of the key themes I think that draws all this together that we pick up on in the Amazon book is how technology and digital innovation, where we've seen Amazon really be quite disruptive in this space, has enabled it, taking it back to the point about a good year for the consumer, it's enabled the consumer to really shop on their terms and look for speed and choice and convenience and relevance. So I would say those are the main things that retailers really need to focus on providing and making sure that they're differentiating on in 2019. That being said, there's a certain amount of digital innovation that Amazon has kind of used to set the standard in terms of things like one-click checkouts, ratings and reviews, personalized recommendations that we would recommend retailers adopt because they have become a standard. But there are certain areas, as I also alluded to, that retailers can capitalize on, which we refer to as what Amazon can't do. Amazon's seen as quite functional experience where you get thousands and thousands of search results and you kind of have to use the filters to filter them yourself. So if we think about Amazon as being quite functional, focusing on what Amazon can't do is really thinking about enriching the experience, making it immersive, getting customers to their product more quickly, more easily, using intelligent search, visual search, and linking that digital presence much more seamlessly to a physical presence as well, where they can also touch and feel the products and still get expert opinion from a human being in a store. If retailers can really exploit the fact that they are merchants and curators at heart and curate a really highly targeted range of merchandise and deliver that to customers in a compelling way, then that's definitely going to be their best chance of surviving the year. I think the difference between the beginning and the end of the year in that sense is that those mediocre retailers that don't raise their game, focus on what Amazon can't do, but also capitalize on what it's shown works as far as digital innovation is concerned, are not going to survive, unfortunately.
You can pick up Maya's new book, Amazon, at all good booksellers. And you can also get in touch with her on Twitter, and that's at Mazza Nights, or search on LinkedIn for Maya Nights, and that's Nights with a K. I think it's been fascinating to hear some of the insight from Maya there. Now, Maya's been researching Amazon a huge amount for the book. Now, whilst the common conception is that Amazon is all-powerful, almighty, yes, that's true, but they're not infallible. They have their weaknesses. And so it was interesting to hear from Maya where and how retailers can begin to fight back against the surge that is Amazon. And I think it will be interesting to see how that develops through the year. Now, I'm excited to be sharing some of these expert insights with you, but I'd also love to hear more about your expert insight as well. So hit me up on Twitter at Ollie_Banks or on LinkedIn, where you can find me at Oliver Banks if we're not already connected. Just personalize the invitation and get in touch with me. Say you're a podcast listener. I'd love to know what your thoughts are on this. And the exciting news is that I've got more to share with you. I've got more expert opinion that you're going to want to hear. So make sure that you hit subscribe on the podcast right now if you've not already done so. And as I mentioned earlier, you can get all of the links for this episode over at OB&Co.uk/12. That's OB&Co.uk/12, the number 12. I hope you're as excited about the future of retail as I am currently feeling. And I know our guests are certainly excited about the future of retail in 2019 too. But the big message for me as we head into this year is that stores are going to be fighting back in the world of retail. This is the time where bricks and mortar stores really start to hit back against the internet online revolution that has been sort of increasing market share year on year for the past few years now. There are a number of opportunities that retailers can go after, and the opportunities really are endless. It sounds a bit cheesy, but they are. They're so huge, they're so varied. So do make sure you continue to come back and listen again to the Retail Transformation Show. And I'll look forward to joining you next time.